am Marty Nemko. What do I care about? Writing what you care about and what you don't care about can help you clarify how to spend your time and money. Well, to kickstart you, here is a perhaps too long list of mine. First, what I don't care about. Jewelry. It but modestly enhances appearance, and costly jewelry seems to particularly provide poor value for the money spent. Spaceflight. Whether NASA, Musk's, or Bezos' operation, with all the problems here on Earth, it seems foolish to spend billions on flying around. No, Bunky, there are no little green men on planets anywhere near us. Performers' lives, let alone their opinions on public policy. They're human beings with life's vagaries like all of us. But they're just entities we mainly see virtually and certainly don't really know beyond what their publicists let us know. They're certainly not our friends. And people who have long devoted their lives to being singers, actors, and so on, are unlikely to be my go-to people when I want opinions on public policy. Pro sports. Already rich athletes abandon their team for a few extra bucks, yet we're expected to be loyal to the team? Abstract art. Intellectualize it all you want, but I can't get past abstract art being silly. Thrown paint cans, tomato soup cans, all white canvases, even weird Picasso. Give me Monet, Renoir, Rembrandt, even good local representational painters. My friend Alan Gold, you can search on the word ALLAN, Gold, painting, and you'll see some really beautiful stuff. Resumes and LinkedIn profiles. They're too often creative writing, if not downright fiction. Family. We're thrust into family by chance while we choose our friends. I venerate the latter. Too many families, whether of origin or from marriage, are, let's just say, a challenge. Physical challenges. There are better uses of time than to train for and do mountain climbing, ocean swimming, marathoning, for no other purpose than to say you did it. Mind-altering substances. At the risk of sounding like your grandmother, there are myriad ways to get high on life without side effects. Status purchases. I can't understand why people would spend 2 times, 3 times, even 4 times on a Luxmobile, which require more service and break down more than Toyotas and Subarus. There's nothing prestigious about standing on the side of the road waiting for the tow truck. Gambling. Knowing in advance that the house stacks the deck against you and still you gamble? Doesn't sound like much of a thrill. I mean, think of all the people who come home from Vegas or Atlantic City. How many say they won significantly? And of those, how many are telling the truth? Religion. We all wish there was a loving, all-seeing, all-knowing, all-powerful God looking out for us. Then why do earthquakes kill millions, and millions more, including innocent babies, who die of cancer after months of expensive agony? The only God is the wise one within ourselves. Vacation travel. I can chat with people from different cultures without the huge hassle and cost of travel. And do I really need to stand at the base of some ruin or schlep through yet another museum or church? I can get most of the benefit of those by watching a YouTube video on whatever place I want, from Africa to the Louvre, free, close-up, available 24/7, 365. Want to endure the cost and hassle so you can say you stood at the Acropolis? Be my guest. I will not be joining you. Dancing. Bobbing up and down? Yeah, it's nice foreplay, and if I were single, I would dance, but otherwise? And I'm not alone. On the dance floor, yeah, the women look pre-orgasmic, but most men look like they're having a root canal. Fashion. Corporations pull us by the nose to buy this season's in thing. I can picture them thinking, well, it was aubergine last year, let's spin the wheel. Okay, puce this year. It was wide bottoms last year, we'll make them medium this year and narrow next year, and then we'll reverse field. And don't even get me started on tats and pierces. Stock picking. Decades of authoritative research say you're wiser to just invest in an index ETF, for example, Vanguard Growth Index Fund, symbol VUG, whose annual fee is just 4/100th of 1%, rather than try to pick individual stocks. Yet millions of people think they're wiser than the collective wisdom of those billions of dollars invested. I think Tesla's going down. Cleanliness beyond sanitary level. We all have better uses of our time than to clean the dust from our floor's corners. And now let's turn to what I do care about. Merit. Every time a decision to hire or admit to college someone is based, even in part, on melanin, any benefit is dwarfed, especially in the long term, by the unfairness to the more meritorious persons and to the people they affect, fellow students, coworkers, customers, all of us. Not to mention that when we let melanin trump merit, We set the, quote, beneficiaries up for failure, witness their lower success rate when they could have been as successful just a notch or two down. Helping people make the most of who they are, especially the highly intelligent and motivated. I do care about that. After all, they're the people most likely to cure cancer, solve the energy problem, and be wise leaders, more so than Trump. And rather than try to change people, for example, from dull to bright, introvert to social, I try to help people make the most of who they basically are. I value performing to the highest level I can, whether I'm doing my career counseling, cooking, acting, directing, playing the piano, playing gin rummy, writing, growing flowers, or breeding hybrid T4 mini roses. It feels important to me to use my ability to make the biggest difference I can. That is a core value of mine. Time effectiveness, especially as I age. I try to make the most, not of each day, but each minute. I'm ever asking myself, is this worth doing, and to what level of quality? And am I doing this task efficiently? Crispness or concision. That's a corollary of the previous item. Every extra word wastes everyone's time and buries the important amid the less so. Value in what I buy, from food to cars to home to learning to investing. I shop at Trader Joe's. I buy Toyotas. I live in a home in a good but not frou-frou neighborhood. I attended quality public colleges. I buy mainstream solid brand products such as Samsung, Mr. Coffee, Crest toothpaste, Sony, and Whirlpool, and I invest in Vanguard index funds. Beauty. While I'm too impatient of a person to stare for long, I do enjoy that first glance at a pretty flower, painting, woman, or listen to, for example, Josh Groban or Johnny Mathis. Men. Men have long contributed mightily, yet if a Martian descended onto Earth and read or watched virtually anything, it would conclude that men, at least white men, are grossly inferior to others. That is untrue, but is core to the zeitgeist's insistence on redistributive, quote, justice, which is most visibly manifest in, currently at least, San Francisco having passed reparations for blacks. But it goes pervasively beyond that to widespread reverse discrimination in hiring, promotion, college admission, awarding of government contracts, etc. By the way, I have a link to these assertions that require it. Intelligence. That has become a dirty word, even though everyone knows that reasoning is key to success, professionally and personally. It is beyond the scope here to explain why, so I'm just going to say that notwithstanding that perception, intelligence as measured by the SAT, GRE, IQ, and so on, is a solid predictor of school and even life success for people of all races. So I value intelligence in friends, colleagues, and clients. Gifted kids. Smart kids are truly the most underserved relative to their potential to improve all our lives. Programs in schools for the gifted have been eviscerated, while compensatory programs for who the poobahs call the, quote, underserved have mushroomed. Genetics, especially cognitive. No one questions the role of genes in plants and animals. It's absurd that some people imply that the laws of nature are somehow suspended when it comes to intelligence. It is politically unacceptable in many quarters, but it would be wise to fund research to understand the biological basis of reasoning and of altruism, preliminary to prospective parents able to opt, uncoerced, to ensure that their kids are born without a genetic strike against them. To ensure that doesn't increase income inequality, like most medical procedures, it would be free to the poor under Medi-Cal and other health payments to the poor. AI. I am amazed at AI's power today and its likely ever-increasing capability. I do worry about its eliminating jobs and that it is censoring so-called guardrails or a parody of wokeness. I look at ChatGPT or Gemini results, and it almost seems that Obama or even AOC is the wizard behind the curtain. Peace and quiet. It is well established that noise pollution is both distracting and unhealthy. I am grateful to live and work in a quiet area. Freedom from traffic. Mobility is a right, yet our deep green transportation planners are exerting increasing pressure to drive us out of our cars. No new lanes, despite the increase in population, raised car taxes and fees, reduced parking spots, and so on. Even though mass transit takes even longer, sitting in traffic spews more pollution. Other countries are releasing so much hydrocarbon into the air that any net savings of squeezing us out of our cars is trivial. And now, there's growing consensus, including from Bill Gates, that the pain we endure in money and hassle in the vain attempt to cool the planet is a mistake. Staying relevant. I've long been respected, but now at age 75 and a half, I still count halves, I worry that while I'm still at the top of my game, too many think he's old. So I do everything I can to demonstrate I'm still at 100%. The aforementioned speaking, writing, counseling, directing plays, acting in plays, and hybridizing roses. Media bias. The dean of a major journalism school told me that they now encourage future journalists to not necessarily be fair, but be leftist activists. And in my local newspaper, the San Francisco Chronicle, the editor-in-chief, John Diaz, wrote that that philosophy guides the paper, and not just on its op-ed pages. In fact, not all wisdom resides on the left. To insist it does is trying to win a fight with one arm tied behind our back. Jews in Israel. Jews have contributed more per capita than any group, for example, being just 1% of the population at 22% of the Nobel Prize winners. Yes, arguably Israel overreacted to Hamas's barbaric attack, but in the face of 2,000 years of anti-Semitism, from the burning of the ancient temple in Rome, through the Inquisition, pogroms, Holocaust, and quieter anti-Semitism with a nuclear Iran waiting to destroy Israel, and Hamas by charter sworn to destroy Israel, why is Israel being singled out as terrible, while the media and universities ignore true atrocities, like Muslim countries allowing no Jews nor gays, while Israel welcomes LGBTs, has 21% Arabs in its population, including on its Supreme Court? And this is also completely incomprehensible to me. It ignores women in Muslim countries subjugated to a life in a burqa, and to clitorectomies in African countries. Why is that ignored? Why the double standard? It could well be, at least in part, anti-Semitism born of jealousy of the Jewish people's long-standing veneration of intelligence in choosing who to have children with. My aging. Obviously, I do care about my own aging. Intellectually, I understand that worrying about aging, let alone catastrophizing, merely taints the good time I have left. But that's one area I can't seem to control. It does keep a cloud over me. I care about assisted dying. Among our most personal decisions is the right to die. How dare government, prodded by the Catholic Church, set up often unmeetable restrictions on who can ask their physician to help amend their unlikely to reverse suffering, mental or physical. And finally, utilitarianism. That philosophy is core to much of the above. I try to make and advocate for decisions that will yield the most good for the most people, even if necessarily some people are going to lose in the process. What I'm interested in is furthering net good. So, that is what I care about and don't care about. How about you? Feel free to write your thoughts in the comments section or, of course, privately. In any event, I thank you for watching. That is what I do care about. What do I care about? In any event, I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. I certainly would welcome you taking a look at any of my 36 books. Probably most relevant is A Dose of Reality, but all 36 are on Amazon. In any event, I thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.